Hi, everyone. Welcome to FECoff Friday. We are so excited to be back this week, guys. We have Jesse and Isabelle Ramirez with us. These people have been absolutely amazing to get to know. If you have a dog with cancer, you want to get in touch with these people. We have been so blessed to sit down with them and work with the Playbook for dogs and understand the protocols and safe ways to treat your dog with cancer or treat your dog who has cancer. I'm gonna do a quick. Jim is with us today. You guys know Jim. Justin's with us as well. You guys, if you guys want to unmute and say hello, go for it.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
I'm Isabelle.
Hello.
Can you hear us okay?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. I'm just making sure.
I wanted to just say hi too. I'm driving, so I'll kind of be on the backside, but I'm excited about having Jesse and Isabelle also. They helped with my dog Kira, so highly recommend them.
Thank you for having us, everybody. It's been an amazing journey for sure.
Why don't you guys? Why don't we start by just explaining what you guys do? What do you guys do? How did this passion start, and what do you guys do?
So over 12 years ago now.
Well, it's been about 13
years now. It's been. My brother was diagnosed with cancer. He was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And when we found out, this was 13 years ago, there wasn't a lot of cannabis oil talk. There was a little bit about, maybe Rick Simpson oil, stuff like that. But we didn't really know a whole lot about cannabis, but we knew that people were using it to help themselves with different autoimmune disorders like cancer. Mm. And so when we first found out, Isabelle, actually, she was the one that started looking up.
Well, I'd always been a smoker, so I knew, there was some things about cannabis that wasn't truth. So when he got diagnosed with cancer, that was my first go-to because I heard stories and I just couldn't put the information down. I just started researching and, trying to figure out how we can help him and, eventually help ourselves. But, unfortunately, it didn't work for him. It caught up to him. And
about 3 months after he was diagnosed, he passed away from cancer. We never even really had a chance to help him with the cannabis oils. Right. We found some people that were making it up north, like Central California area. And they actually were telling us that they didn't have enough. We had to get 3 months supply. They didn't have even, a week's supply. It was just very difficult back then to find out information, let alone get the medicine, let alone figure out how to use it, And so I think that's kind of where we started everything, right?
Yeah, because then I started trying to figure out how to make it ourselves because we couldn't find it. So I was like, well, we can do this. We were already holistic as it was. We owned a supplement shop, so we already knew a lot of things. So we just figured, let's just make it. Let's figure out the process. Let's dive into it and see how we can really make this medicine. And that's kind of where it all started. We found Suzanne, and she's been a blessing, making amazing medicine for longer than we've been.
Oh, way longer. She started it. We kind of tagged along. She taught us a bunch of stuff, but she's still doing the medicine. Suzanne over there, Earth Alchemy. Holistic Care. We started out of having a family member being diagnosed with cancer. And then from there, it's kind of like what everybody else deals with. They find out that somebody they love has cancer and they start doing research, and little by little, they figure some stuff out. And that's, I think, why we started what we started, was because when we first started looking into things and there wasn't anything out there, we thought, man, this kind of sucks because you don't have much time. You need to find out all the information as fast as possible, but then you have conflicting information. When you go online, there's hundreds of different stories and people's advice and their opinion and how they make medicine versus how you should make it and all that kind of stuff. So it gets very confusing if your brain isn't, focused enough because you're scrambling, you have a lot of anxiety, you're stressing out about your diagnosis or your loved one's diagnosis. So that's why we started what we started. Actually, I was working as a construction manager, building high-rise buildings all over LA and Beverly Hills and San Diego area. And we started getting calls from people. This was after Tino had posted a video that we helped him with his dog that had lymphoma. And little did we know that he had a bunch of followers on Facebook. He posted a video. Next thing I know, I started getting a bunch of phone calls at work. And even my boss was like, hey, man, your employees, they're coming to me asking me, why is the boss man on his phone all the time, not focused on work? And I was like, ooh, this is not good.
Yeah.
So
Jesse, that's the time you should have said, FECoff.
Right?
I think that's exactly what we said, though, because we decided at that point that we were just going to make medicine somehow and help people as much as we could. And we started coming up with protocols. We decided to, go over how to actually dose dogs. And I think it took us, a few weeks, right, to come up with all that information that we first started coming up with.
Well, it developed over time, because when people would come back and we would give them protocols, and then something kind of happened with their dog, then we'd have to go back and adjust. And then it was just always a figuring out of how we can make the medicine better for the dog, because the dog can't talk to us and tell us how they're doing. So we have to go off of the reactions to the medicine. So the parents would call us and get scared. And then, we'd have to just constantly readjust those protocols until it finally came to what it is now. And that's been 10 years now, at least that.
Yeah, and in that amount of time, we've gone through tons of training. We've gone through Cannabis Training University, which is an accredited program that teaches you everything you need to know about cannabis. We went through the master program. We also went through a bunch of healing modalities to learn how to be energy healers. And so the way that we figure out how to help people with their doggies or themselves with their autoimmune disorders, it's all inclusive. There's diet, there's exercise, there's supplements, cannabis oils, obviously. And then from there, the positivity behind it. You need to have a good support group. Later this week, or actually this weekend, we have some people coming over to talk about their own personal cancers. We're going to, help some people out with their cancer. And all of that, I think, needs to happen where we meet with them, we talk with them, go over the protocol, explain to them how we're going to help them. The exchange of energy at that point has to be super positive, and that's kind of where we shine. We always come to the table with a bunch of positivity, so that we can get that person, that client, that whoever needs our help, to start at least believing that what we're
it's like a hug for the soul.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then just giving them the awareness of, what they really can do to help themselves get better, like diet, exercise, people, all the things in their life that they need to change, and how that just encompasses everything into their healing.
It's a lifestyle.
That's also really critical. So as we're talking about the Cancer Dog program, those changes are really critical for the dogs as well. Like you said, diet is a huge factor in cancer. Huge factor. I know that our patient reported outcomes, Justin, you can speak to this. I know our patient reported outcomes suggest that people who change their diet have a seriously increased risk of battling their cancer.
Yeah, diet is, I would say, over half of what's needed to change in order for, things to become
positive.
Then
what, people aren't really aware too much that, sugars feed cancers and all these other things kind of contribute to those abnormal cells, and how to get rid of it out of the body. Everything works with each other. The lymphatic system, the kidneys, like everything needs to be functioning properly so that everything can expel and get rid of, these cancer cells. So that's just making people aware of,
I think that's the biggest part in what we do is we kind of give them the Cliff Note version of what to do even before they think or they can think about those things that they need to do. we've already brought them up, right? Like, did you know that we need to do this, that, and the other? Oh, wow, I didn't even think about those things. So we try to be as proactive with the way that we approach the protocols that we help people figure out when it comes to dosing. But at the same time, there's a lot of compassion that goes with it because, you know, without them being on board and feeling comfortable with the process, you know, we have people that still a week, 2 weeks, a month later are doubting it. You know, do you really think this is working for my dog, Jesse? And how do I know it's working? And it's like, well, it's working. You just have to, you really do need to be
diligent.
Yeah, diligent.
You got to stick to the plan and just follow it through. Yeah. You know, you can't just give up so quick. I think people are so jaded now because there's pharmaceuticals and they get an instant result. But you know, when it's natural healing, it's a process. It took a process to get there. So now it's going to take another process to
you're on a journey. So you're on a journey.
It's definitely a journey, and it's everything. You know, everybody needs to be aware of all these other things that come with it, not just that one little thing like that pharmaceutical pill you can just take, but then it causes all these other problems. You know, we're trying to get to the root cause. We're trying to clean it. We're trying to clear it out, and you know, we're trying to get healthy from whatever it is. So,
you know, Isabelle, what you just said is treating the root cause. That's one of our major things that we do with whole health oncology is don't treat the symptom, treat the cause.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cause is what makes the cancer happen. It basically is it's a hijacking of a healthy cell, and cells want to be perfect. Ultimately, you know, the body produces healthy cells, and then something's causing it to go bad. And that's a huge factor, is because then it doesn't come back. If you treat the symptom like cancer and you just make the cancer go away, then it comes back. Probably 50 to 75% of the time, and normally comes back stronger and meaner than it was the first time. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
Trying to find the root cause of things. You know, I'm a huge energy healer. I have a lot of modalities under my belt, and going to the root cause emotionally, physically, mentally, you know, all of that is huge to kind of go back to figure out where all this came from. And then, you know, start that process energetically of lifting all that up and clearing it out and continuing on with the process. So, yeah, that is huge. Finding it, you know, the origins of it.
I'd like to talk about veterinarians. How do you know my experience with veterinarians, and you walk in there and they tell you that your dog has cancer. Most of the time, they tell you that you're fucked. Basically, you're fecked. They're telling you to feck off. Hey, we can't do anything for you. Your dog needs chemo, or he's going to die, and then he's probably going to die anyway. And what do you guys think about what we're dealing with in terms of where most of people go with their animals when they think something's going wrong, and then what happens after the veterinarian gets a hold of them, and where does that go? What is your experience with that?
It's gone both ways. Sometimes, Jim, when once we talk to clients that have been through the Western medical system, it's usually at a point where they've had all of their options given to them and they've run out of options. And then they come to us with, hey, my dog has a very little amount of time, supposedly, based on the prognosis that the vet or oncology vet has given them. And what do we do now? So they're panicked. They've got high anxiety. They don't know what to do. They're confused. And the vets can sometimes make it a little more difficult for them to decide what to do, because now they're giving them information based off of, you know, it's a pressure thing, right? They're telling them, hey, if you don't do this therapy, your dog won't make it past this amount of time. And I think that, to me, it's, you know, I'm not a vet or a doctor, but it's kind of janky when I've heard clients that we've helped tell us that the vet has told them, hey, unless you do chemo, then we can't help you and your dog's going to die in X amount of time. And then they come to us crying, distraught, telling us that their dog's going to die because the vet told them in X amount of time. And then when we talk to them, it's funny because usually once we talk to them and I start asking them questions about how their dog's doing, and they tell me, hey, like, for example, I'll ask them, well, how's your dog's doing with appetite? Oh, my dog's eating fine. How's inflammation and pain management. Oh, not exhibiting any inflammation and pain. Is he on any prescription? No, haven't started any prescriptions either. So what's the big deal? Well, it's because my vet told me that this type of cancer is just not good and my dog's not going to be around. So I might as well make the tough decision now, which I get it. If you don't want to see your dog go through a decline and suffer and that sort of thing, then obviously it's your decision to make. But when we've helped clients with their dogs in the very beginning, even if the dog hasn't eaten, even if the dog has started to decline, even if they're at stage 3 or 4, we're able to get that dog to feel better right off the bat. They start enjoying life again. They start, cuddling with the parent. They start doing things like if they were puppies. And to me, that is basically everything. If the parent comes to us saying, hey, we want you to help our dog feel better, right off the bat, we're going to do that. But, our goal is always to get the dog into a place where the cancer is no longer detected, which is typically remission. And if we can do that, then to keep the dog or cat or person, whoever, in remission from that point on, it's very easy. So that's always the goal. Obviously, as we get started, when we talk to vets, if they tell the patient's parent, hey, your dog doesn't have much time, you might as well make those stuff. Then they come to us, and it makes it a lot tougher for us to then convince them, hey, we don't believe the same thing. We actually believe we could still help your dog, and we still have time. And let's start the protocol. Let's see how your dog feels off of it, and let's monitor day by day. Because I think at some point people forget that it's cancer. It's crazy because I remember when I was a kid, if somebody was told they had cancer, it was almost definitely always a death sentence. And now we know different, and we've actually seen and have helped clients that have had a diagnosis of cancer, and they're living 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
absolutely,
many years after the fact. So I know for a fact now, just based off of what we've seen with other people that we've helped, when we hear cancer diagnosis, we don't automatically think, hey, you're done, put your dog to sleep, make decisions now. No, we always say, hey, it's never too late. We can always at least help your dog feel better in the very beginning. And as we get started, no matter what the vet says, even if the vet tells you, hey, we have 2-3 weeks left until your dog won't be around anymore, we usually outlive the prognosis. We get to a point where it's 3 months into the future, the dog's still doing well. They've actually taken the dog back for a checkup, and the vet's like, well, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever it is, keep doing it. And at that point, the parent is like, well, even the vet now is telling us, hey, whatever we're doing, keep doing it. And in a way, they're now condoning the CBD THC protocol without necessarily knowing what we're doing. They just know the results, which I wish, to go full circle, Jim. And what I really wish would happen is that we could have, and I think I've told you this before, some type of a forum or an area where we could explain to different vets of all types, oncology vets, homeopathic vets, holistic vets, of what the benefits are of cannabis. Because regardless if they're restricted in talking about it, at least they can not be negative about it. And that's what we would love to have happen is, hey, if you don't know what CBD and THC can do for their animals, at least don't say, hey, THC is so harmful it could kill your dog. Or CBD is so bad that, you can cause this and that, the other, which none of it's true, but yet we get all the time, we get people telling us, hey, my vet told me if I give my dog THC, he can die. Right. It's like, whoa, where'd that come from? And it's all misinformation. So now their decision-making has been clouded. They don't have the same ability to decide because they've got misinformation. And what we try to do with your guys' help is get all this misinformation siphoned and figure it out so we can give people accurate, true, real information, real life stuff.
And that's what the Cancer Dogs program is all about, is teaming up with people like you. And we have some other people that we all have so much passion. I'm over here listening to your guys' story, and Jen's gonna laugh because I always cry. But I've got passion leaking out my eyes over here just listening, because it's I told you he was gonna laugh. I cry almost every time I'm on one of these things. But it touches my heart, that fact that the goal is, so when you get diagnosed with cancer, that is, I declare war. You are going to war. You're not dead yet.
And that's how
this has not killed you.
Feel about it. We are always with everybody like, let's do this. Let's do our best. Let's try to kick this cancer's ass. Let's get rid of it. And here we are. All the information that we have will supply you with everything that we know, and you can do the same.
I've been in different positions of authority. I was in the Marine Corps for a while, and from the thing that I took away from the Marine Corps, and that still serves me to this day, is you can't do it alone. A lot of the struggles that you have psychologically, physically, mentally, they can overwhelm people and cause even more problems than the initial reason why they're looking for help in the first place. So I think knowing that there's a group of people like us that can help anybody really try to figure out how to use this medicine, cannabis, FECo, all of the products that are available to us now, to try and help them heal. Because I'll tell you what, if we had this information when my brother was sick 13 years ago, the outcome could have been different. My brother could have still been around. I don't know. We just never had the opportunity to even try it because there was so many things against us, the legalities, the cost, the availability, people's understanding of how to, medicate themselves with the medicine. And then you have, well, at least back then, you had a lot of the stigma. My brother was a pothead for so many years. And then when we tried to approach him with the medicine, he's like, dude, this is the stuff that got me sick in the first place. It's like, no, you drank alcohol for X amount of years, and that's why your spleen is not doing well. It's not the cannabis. And now we got to re-educate and hopefully allow people to accept the fact that there is a medicine, there is a plant that's grown naturally in the world that has the ability to get rid of just about any type of autoimmune disorder. We don't make it up. Isabelle and I, we talk about it all the time, but we can't make it up. We just explain how that all happens so that people can understand that it's real.
A couple of things that I'm hearing from what you guys are saying is that, for one reason, why do they come to us last? We're the last resort. It needs to swing around, and we need to be the first resort. If you're listening out there, think about that. Everybody comes to us after the doctor's already told us that there's nothing else that they can do. Then they show up and expect us to treat, have some kind of a miracle happen. Exactly. But it does happen. But how much better can it be if they came to us first? Even if they're going to get chemo, and even if they're going to go through all these other options or different effectors, definitely consider making this program part of the. No matter what you do, call us first. Get on the program right away. Normally, a vet will take at least 2 weeks to a month to even schedule you in to come in and get surgery or chemo. I was telling Jamie about a friend of mine that's working with us on their dog, and their dog needed their leg amputated because the cancer had spread so much. By the time they were able to schedule the dog in for surgery, it passed away. So that's a really common, that's a FECoff moment right there, man. Come on. I mean, what the hell? The doctors don't care about quality of life. They really don't. We're all about that. Honestly, FECo is not going to cure everybody. It doesn't cure every cancer, but it works really well on a bunch of them. And it also helps make you healthier and put your body into homeostasis, which allows you to fight the fight better. So that's what our biggest deal is.
Increased quality of life. Increased quality of life
is huge.
Yep.
Yeah, it takes away symptoms, it minimizes exposure.
The dosing for them, I think that's the huge, people don't know how to take it. They overtake it and then they freak out. It's a gradual thing that you need to do, and until you can take more of it, and it'll get you to where you need to go instead of getting there faster.
I remember seeing my brother in so much pain during his last days before he passed away from pancreatic cancer that I was hoping that there was something, because he was on morphine, Dilaudid, all these different pain meds that he was having put intravenously. He had a morphine pack that he was pressing every 5 minutes for the pain, and nothing helped him. To me, I wanted something to help with the pain because I couldn't stand to see him in that much pain. If nothing else, when we help people, I know for a fact that we help inflammation and pain right off the bat, and the dogs start to feel better. They don't tell us, but they show us. And then we get that confirmation from the parent. Hey, Jesse, guess what? It's only been a couple of days. I just started the medicine, but my doggy's now jumping on the bed, hasn't done that in a couple of weeks to a month, eating the food regularly, going to the bathroom on his own, whatever. And that to me is huge, because if I had that option with my brother, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. I would have given anything to be able to so that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
To help people. Big time.
And that is exactly why we're all here, Jesse, man. I feel for you, brother. We've all known somebody or experienced something that has caused us to, dedicate our life to doing what we're doing. And part of that is just having to deal with that going forward. It's tough, man. And we're here for you, buddy.
Thank you.
Also, what can we do to what's your idea of getting some like you mentioned something about getting the veterinary, maybe go to a veterinary trade show and sponsor like a session where we can have people come in and we can talk about it and open dialogue and show them the stories that we have.
Bitching, man.
Dialogue.
Oh yeah. I would love, man, me and Isabelle could sit there and we could be like Jeopardy, just answering questions all day long. And I love that idea too, because the things that they think about that are true, we can clear those up in like 2 seconds. And then they're like, but wait, all this time I've been thinking, well, now we got to start thinking differently, right? We got to start really appreciating the medicinal properties of the medicine and how it works so that we can be on the same page. Demonizing something for whatever reason, because we've done it for so long, it's no excuse for us to try and change what we've always done, things that have not served us in the past like this. At this point, we need to, get smarter and just look at what it is for what it is. And the reality is it's a real medicine, man, that we've seen basically miracles with it. And this is why we do it, because if it was some type of snake oil and people were sometimes getting results, sometimes not getting results, then I would say, you know what, we gotta figure something else out, because this is not viable. This is not a sustainable type of treatment option. But what we've seen, like I said earlier, we've seen dogs go into remission, cats go into remission, 2, 3, 4, 5. The longest has been like 6.5 years. And the only reason Tino's dog passed away was because she was 17 years old, about to be 17. So, for us, we know the possibilities with the medicine. And that's what we try and do every day. We try and explain that to everybody that we talk to. The conversations get long, but in that conversation, we hope that they pick up some of the information and it at least helps them make a decision.
Yeah.
So that leads me to Justin. Justin, you've been collecting stories on dogs for a while now. How impactful are those stories, and what kind of issues are you running into? Do people want to share their stories with you, or are you running into any kind of resistance, or do are they open arms kind of deal?
Most people who I feel like, the people who do respond are usually very enthusiastic. Yeah, lately, they're tremendously enthusiastic. I mean, they're sending me medical documentation. They're sending me really, really long paragraphs or, messages that is explaining exactly what they did. Some of these people are using, a lot of different supplements. But yeah, it's there's certain supplements that are coming up repeatedly and certain protocols that are coming up repeatedly that seem be leading to success. The diet, being able to get up to those therapeutic consistent levels of THC and CBD. I've also been getting a lot of stories that don't use cannabis and just other therapies, and it really feels like cannabis is like a difference maker. Even when they're using 10 things, if one of those things is not cannabis, it does not seem to be working as well. So cannabis really does seem to be a heavy lifter. I mean, there's certainly some cases, especially with certain like the turkey tail mushrooms, like there's certain supplements that seem like they're nearing the power of cannabis, but that's the one that really seems to make the difference for both achieving those full remissions from the cancer as well as having really rapid effects on mainly pain and like anxiety. Those two symptoms are coming up most frequently for responding to cannabis very quickly, and the severity going down. So yeah, that's why using it as a first resort is so important, and it's so frustrating because there are people out there, want to wait for the vet appointment or, start the conventional treatment first, then add cannabis. And really, as soon as your dog is showing any symptoms, really, that might be cancer, even just starting with CBD, it's a very, gentle and easy approach. Even low doses of THC can be started very, low risk as well. But CBD, if you give too much, it's not going to, cause the side effects that THC may. So, if, once your dog starts showing symptoms, getting those cannabinoids in there is going to improve their quality of life. And if it is cancer, the earlier that you get started on cannabinoids, the higher the chances of remission and good results. Even though it can work very well in those stage 4 situations, the sooner that you can get started, the higher the chances of success.
I just
Yeah,
want
so
to
based on
jump
the,
in. Oh,
I was just going to say, based on the stories, that's what you're seeing, Justin?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the overall trend, definitely.
Because I know cannabis is people talk about it. It works based off the entourage effect. An entourage meaning that all the cannabinoids work together. But I think because it has that ability to be an entourage type of a medication, that I think it makes everything else work better. Also, it comes in and helps your body be stronger. Helps your immune system fight its own fight. It reduces inflammation. It makes all the symptoms that would normally cause you to have to go do, medications and pharmaceuticals. It makes those minimized, and that way it allows your body to focus on what it really needs to focus on. So I think that entourage is a huge thing, and I'd like to hear what Jesse and them have to say about that after Jamie finishes what she was saying.
I just wanted to say real quick, if you are in the audience listening and your dog just got diagnosed and you're scared and you're confused and you have no idea what to do, go to FECoplaybook.org. Look on our cancer dogs. We have educational information there. We have links to be able to connect to Jesse and Isabelle as well. We would love to do this journey with you guys. That is what we're here for. Clearly, our team is incredibly passionate, as you guys have heard week after week. So I just wanted to address the audience real quick. So if you're there listening, we're here to help.
Definitely. Going back to your question, Jim, about the entourage effect, I really do believe it's what you're saying. It's not necessarily just CBD and THC that cause that effect. I think it's the entirety of what your therapy is doing. Your diet. Are you exercising? Are you getting enough sleep? Is your digestion working? Are you detoxifying? Are you getting on supplements that are going to help you heal? There's a lot of things. We used to own a vitamin store, and people would come in and ask us on a regular basis, what can I do to look like this picture in the magazine, right? It's a girl or guy that's in super good shape, and they want to get to that level of fitness or whatever. Most people that we would talk to, they want to do it, but they don't realize how hard it's going to be. And I always put that back on the people that we're helping. we're not going to do any work. Isabelle and I, we don't do any work to help you. We give you information, and then you as a parent towards your loved one, your dog, your cat, or your family member, you're really the caretaker and doing all the work at that point. So the amount of work that people put into having the therapies work makes all the difference in the world. You know, being consistent, staying on top of the way that we're changing the dosage. Because when we start, as we get going with the protocol, the instructions every single day, they change. And that takes a little bit of, you know, due diligence for that person to keep track of it. We do have a dosage tracker that we allow people to download so they can keep track of it. But it's a lot of work, you know, and like you said earlier, Jamie, you're getting ready for war. You know, people want to look at us and say, hey, Jesse, Isabelle, can you help my dog get better from this type of cancer? And we look at them and say, we can help you get your dog better from this type of cancer, because we're not going to do anything. We try and streamline everything, but really the hard work and the heavy lifting and the due diligence all comes from the parents. And without their, you know, consistency and being able to stay on top of things, it just doesn't work. So that's my biggest, you know, the thing that I always push on people when we first talk. It's, you know, I'm going to need you to do a lot of work. You're going to need to check in with me. We're not going to be calling you every 5 minutes. Hey, how's your dog doing? No, I'm going to depend on you to let me know if there's an issue. Let me know if you need more instructions. But as soon as you contact us and you let us know that you have questions or need help with anything, we're here. You know, we typically help several, you know, dozens of people throughout the day. But even within all of those people, we're always available to talk to people that need our help. So, you know, if people are thinking whether or not they get a hold of us, you know, it's a long process, it's a lot of work. Look, the conversation that we have is 15, 20 minutes long, but it could make a huge difference in the decision-making process when you decide, am I going to do chemo, radiation? Because we've talked to so many people that we know a lot about what those therapies can do, and we usually give some amount of advice regarding that as well, because we've heard from so many other people. So it's all inclusive. I think the entourage effect includes everything, including Western medicines. You know, if we're still taking some prescriptions to help with inflammation and pain, like tramadol, gabapentin, or stuff for seizures, you know, the Keppras and things like that, then we sometimes will continue to take those therapies while we're waiting for the medicine to start doing what it's supposed to do at the therapeutic amounts. So the way that we adjust for all of that is it's all based off of the results that we're getting, and usually we could see those as we go, so we know exactly what's happening as we do it. A lot of information, sorry.
We love it. We love it.
That's great.
Perfect.
So I think we should somehow, Jamie, Jim, Justin, we should figure out how we can reach a broader audience of vets, because, man, if we can get in front of a group of vets, talk to them about at least the positive reasons why we want to use this in conjunction with their therapies. I mean, it's not going to involve stepping on anybody's toes. It's something where we can work together. And at least that way we offer the end user, the client, the customer, the patient, the ability to have more firepower, I guess, or more of the ability to get rid of whatever the situation is. Because, you know, sometimes the vet will tell the person that we're not going to help you anymore because you don't want to use our chemos and our therapies, and they don't help anymore. And then that's why they come to us. Hey, man, nobody's going to help us anymore.
Our whole health a position of strength for the patient autonomy. There's nothing in Western medicine that allows patient autonomy. How would they even claim that if they tell you today you have cancer, and then they say, oh, well, guess what? You have an appointment with a doctor, an oncologist in 3 weeks, but you just today found out you have cancer. So they don't give you any suggestions at all. So what do? Go out and drink a freaking Coke. FECoff, man. That's bullshit. Yeah. That they allow you to even go 3 weeks with stress and anxiety. And there's no doubt in my mind that cancer gets way worse in those next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And you're doing nothing. You're doing zero. They provide you with absolutely nothing
You
to
just
do
showed
in
up.
the meantime.
You just
They
showed
have
up to the
to
battlefield with no weapons.
Yeah.
A re-education.
Yeah, go to war and you don't have nothing. We're not giving you
Yeah.
any tools at all. And we're all about, just like Jesse's saying, the playbook's all about tools and resources. We don't do the work. We've done the work. We collected the patient-reported outcomes. We've got the stories. We've got the protocols. We've got the diagnosis, good, bad, and indifferent, based off of thousands of stories that we've handled. And we can help you with, more than anything else, hope. That's what we would do, is we would provide you with contact information, stories of real similar type of situations that had pets that were able to battle the disease and did it with dignity, so that's what we're all about at the Playbook. It's making,
and we care about
making life.
We care about you. We care about you. We want to check in on you at least weekly. We've created surveys that let us know how you're doing. It also helps remind you that you're supposed to be changing your diet right now. The questions that we ask are designed to help you hold yourself accountable for what you're doing.
Yep.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and I also want to say that, so on the playbook, there actually is very specific actionable information that anyone can take right now for dogs, where based on the patient-reported outcome evidence, a lot of which does come from Jesse and Isabelle, exactly how to work out, how to scale up the THC and CBD doses, what doses to use depending on, what dog and, mainly their weight that they are, what foods to eat that are good and what foods are bad, and then what specific supplements are most associated with success. And I think that's really valuable, because there are hundreds of supplements out there, and how do you know which ones to use? Well, you use the ones that are used by the most dogs that have the most success. So I think that's really helpful. And also, it's hard and it's easy, because it can be very overwhelming and there's so much to do. But if you just get started and take it one step at a time, you have your THC oil and you have your CBD oil, the right foods and supplements, you just slowly start introducing it to them. Usually just all together in their food is a really easy way to administer the cannabis and the supplements. And if you take it slow, it doesn't need to be overwhelming. And just getting started, even if it's not perfect, even if you just have access to CBD, that's definitely better than nothing. And there are some successes with that. So, just get started and slowly improve over time.
A beautiful part of Jesse and Isabelle's protocol also is that it has a variety of different types of FECO. A lot of people just say, yeah, one FECO all for everything. What they've done is they've created a protocol that has a hemp-based CBD with some THC in it. I think it's 0.3. And then they have a sativa, which is for the day, and then an indica for night. And my dog sleeps like a baby at night on that indica. She crashes hard. She sleeps well throughout the night. She doesn't wake up, halfway through it, wanting to go out to go to the bathroom. She just has a great night's sleep. And like I said, that's a side effect. That's the side effect that you get from cannabis. Those kind of things. Oh, they slept great. Any other side effects? Any kind of painful things? Oh, not really. Just listen up when they do a commercial. And the problem with commercials these days is that we're one of only 2 countries that allow you to advertise pharmaceuticals on TV. So that's a huge feck-off right there. And there's people literally going into the doctor and telling the doctor what they need based off of what a commercial said. That's where we are with our healthcare in the world. Crazy. That's literally where we stand right now and how terrible it is. But when I was learning about this stuff, I needed somebody like Jesse and Isabelle to talk to, because I read stories, I read books, I read information on anything I could to find out how I could get rid of my skin cancer. And I ended up having to read a book. And I read the book, and it told me what to use, what to expect, and how long to expect it. And it happened just like that. It literally made it do what the book said to do. I did exactly like they said, and it worked. And 3 weeks later, my basal cell carcinoma is completely gone. So, but the best thing about having somebody like Isabelle and Jesse around is that you can actually talk to them about specific questions that you have and not have to read 1,000 stories. They've already read the 1,000 stories and they've cleaned it up for you. They're ready to help you with things that they know work. So that's a big part of it.
One thing I do want to mention to those that are listening to this podcast today, there really isn't a way where you can hurt your dog with the medicines, with cannabis. If you gave your dog even a lot of THC, what'll happen is your dog's going to get a little high and probably feel a little uncomfortable, and from there probably go to sleep, wake up a little hungover. But the danger is not there. There is no fatality or harmful side effect. Usually it's positive. If you are thinking about doing it, don't be afraid. It's very safe to give your animals CBD and THC, and start with just CBD. CBD is non-psychoactive. Even if you get some from cannabis, start with a little bit of that. Go about a week into the future with just CBD. Allow your dog to get used to it, and then introduce THC very gradually, the smallest amount possible, and then build up tolerance over a period of a couple of weeks' time. That's all we do. That's everything that we do right there in a nutshell. The problem is when people start thinking about volumes of oil, milligrams of medicine, pounds of a dog, the type of cancer they have, those variables become very overwhelming. And so that's where we help people out the most, is just trying to decipher a lot of the math problems, right? When you're in elementary school and you have, like, our daughters are going through math right now, and they have these math problems that talk about different situations. Jane has 3 apples, and all of that just confuses people. And what we do is we just help people figure it out so that it's not so confusing. You can now focus on getting the medicine into your dog's system and not worry, properly, and not worrying about whether or not they're going to get high. And then everything else will happen. You're going to notice that your dog feels better. That's going to lift up your spirits. That's going to allow you to see the results as they're happening. And the positive energy exchange at that point allows for your dog and your cat or whoever to become more aware of that, and the healing happens faster. Homeostasis is the biggest thing that we can hope for, but when we see it, it really does make a difference when all of that clicks.
Magic happens.
Yep.
Well, we are coming close to end of time. Hi everybody. I can see you guys in the comments. Thank you. Hi. Jim, do you have any final questions that you want to close this out with?
The thing that I want to talk about is the vets a little bit. We're going to be doing a program right now where we're going to be sending pins out to veterinarians across the country, especially in the medical states, that talk about why CBD and THC work. And the biggest obstacle is that you cannot talk to your veterinarian. The veterinarian cannot initiate a conversation with you unless you initiate the conversation. So we're sending out pins to let the veterinarians wear it that say, ask me about CBD. And it's just a prompt. Yeah, we're definitely doing that. And then we're going to also be doing trade shows. So be looking out for us. The number one thing is get your dog. The benefits of what we're doing here in the long run, just make your dog healthier, period. Right? I mean, it's not just fighting the cancer. It's making your dog healthier, putting your dog into homeostasis. It's a beautiful thing.
Ditch that kibble.
Yep. Don't wait till it's too late. So yeah, that was a long closing statement, but I'm super excited to have you guys on board, and it's an awesome podcast.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure having you guys on. I learned so much from you guys, and even on our other projects, I learned so much from you guys. Well, thank you everybody who's tuned in and watched. We will be back next Friday with another FECoff Friday session. Jesse, are you guys coming back with a guest speaker for next session?
Yeah, we can. Definitely.
Yeah, we
that's
what
I thought. Next week we are going to hear a success story. And I'm super excited to hear that. Thank you guys very much. Justin, thank you for always showing up with the facts.
Yeah, thank you.
Great meeting. So good about great podcast.
You guys have a blessed day.
Thank you guys. Have a great one. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Peace, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.